Hello everybody and welcome. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to make a defensive tactic in Football Manager and then what to look for during a match to see if it's working. Let's get started by talking about defensive strategy. There are many different ways to make a tactic in Football Manager, with some tactics overwhelming the opponent with a high press, forcing them into mistakes. Other tactics focus on keeping possession of the ball, playing patient until a breakthrough occurs. While a defensive tactic first focuses on stopping the opponent. You're not concerned about possession stats or total number of shots. What you're worried about is limiting the number of quality shots that the opponent gets. And the key thing to note that when making a defensive tactic, just because you're using a defensive tactic, it does not mean you play passively, but rather you make tactical choices that first benefit defending. Because it's not that you're sitting back and crossing your fingers and hoping that you can hold them off for 90 minutes, but rather you're having a clear strategy on how to stop the opponent, even if it means losing some of your attacking threats. Maybe you're playing a team that has a dominant physical striker, so your strategy may be to limit the number of crosses the opponent can get to the striker, even if it means your fullbacks now have to sit deeper. Or maybe your opponent has a playmaker in the midfield who pulls all the strings, so your strategy may be to have one of your players specifically mark him, even at the risk of your player's attacking output. So where would you use a defensive tactic and why would you use one? Well, we're going to talk about that in the next section. This is my save with Luton in the English Premier League that we used in the Simple Tactic video. We're into the season now and we have a tough match at home against Arsenal coming up. Whenever you're an underdog and you're playing a top team, the thing to keep in mind when you're making your defensive strategy is you probably won't be able to stop everything. So pick and choose what you're willing to give up and what you want to stop, because you're gonna give up chances, but you want to limit the number of quality chances they can get. I think we can be competitive in this match, and there are 3 elements that I want to implement for our defensive tactic. The first is when I'm defending, let the players on the Arsenal backline have time on the ball. Force them to make the amazing play, and if that beats us, then so be it. I don't want their attacking players to dominate us for 90 minutes. And to try and stop those attacking players is the second element. I'm going to be compact and aggressive in the midfield. Make it difficult to pass through the center and on the flanks, and don't give those attacking players time on the ball. So the backline can have the ball all they want, but if it goes further than that, we press. So the defensive strategy is to be compact and aggressive. Our strength will be the ability to clog the midfield and the flanks, but our weakness will be long balls over the top. This is the trade-off I'm going with. I am daring their backline to beat us with their passing, because I don't want players like Kai Havertz and Bukayo Saka to beat me. And the final element for our defensive tactic is to try and hit them on the counter. Use the press to win the ball and then use our wingers, strikers, and playmaker to try and create some chances. This is our lineup going into the match. A 4-4-2 is an excellent formation for what we're trying to do. The 2 banks of 4 will better allow us to stay compact and reduce space for them to pass through, as well as providing plenty of cover on the flanks. The 2 strikers, a poacher and target forward, will be our main outlets in case we need to clear the ball. Our counter will work by getting it either to our wingers who will get in crosses, or to the advanced playmaker who can dribble and run at the defense. The central midfielder on defend will be the protection in our midfield, and the fullbacks will also look to get in crosses from the midfield while not getting too far forward to where they're out of position. I have team instructions that I'm using for this tactic, but I added them in as the first half went on so we can see how it changes my team. So at the start of the match, there are no team instructions, and then we'll add them in as we get to halftime. And one final note that even though this is the same team and save from the Simple Tactic video, there will be differences and contradictions tactically in that video for the sake of this video, if that makes sense. But anyway, let's get to the match and see how it plays out. Our first clip comes in the 6th minute when we turn the ball over. When the Arsenal center back gets the ball, do you see how much space there is between my striker and my center back? It's almost the entire center midfield area. As they move the ball, when the winger makes his cut inside, if we don't take this foul, he has a ton of open space. So that's the first set of team instructions I add. I choose a low block and a high line to make our team more compact, and then a higher press to make sure they have less time on the ball. In the 12th minute, we can immediately see the difference this has made to our team shape. Arsenal is trying that same play again, and when their center back gets the ball, he has plenty of space because of the low block. But there's nowhere to pass because look at how compact my players are. Once the winger or anybody in the midfield gets the ball, we immediately close them down, and it eventually leads to us winning the ball. This is from the 16th minute, and we're holding our own against Arsenal. They were getting a lot of shots away, but most of them were like this: a weak hit or from a distance and easy for our goalie to save. In the 17th minute, our poacher tracks back and gets a tackle to win the ball back. He gets it to the winger, who gets an across for the target forward. We didn't score there, but that's exactly what I want: a winger getting in crosses to our target forward. In the 21st minute, I added more team instructions: high tempo, more direct passing, and pass into space. These are to help accentuate the counterattack. And in the 22nd minute, we get a chance off their free kick. Our advanced playmaker is dribbling in a ton of space, pushing the tempo and the ball forward. The defense is scrambling, and we get in another cross to our target forward. My winger is literally by himself outside the penalty box, but we misplay the header and it goes out for a throw-in. Again, even though it can be really annoying, this is the type of thing you want to look for to see if your tactic is working. The counter worked how I want, the players were in the right position, we just didn't execute. It's why I always recommend watching the full match, because a play like this would never show up in the stat sheet, even though it could have been an incredible chance. Around the 30th minute, I made my nearly complete set of team instructions. We choose the counter, which is obviously what I want to do, and I have regroup, so if we lose the ball, we'll get back in our defensive shape. And the quick goalkeeper distribution is to try and start a counter that way. Here we are in the 39th minute, and you can see that my team doesn't care that the defender has the ball because he's in his own half. The press starts when they work the ball into the midfield. My fullback makes the interception, but gets caught on the ball instead of clearing it, and Arsenal get the goal. This is a tough end to the half because we had been playing so well up to that point. But now that we're at halftime, I add in my final, probably biggest tactical instruction: the cautious mentality. The cautious mentality tells my team to stay behind the ball, keep the defensive shape, and move it forward quickly if they see an opening. This sounds a lot like what I want to do with my tactic, and that's because it is. The cautious mentality is an excellent fit if you want to play this defensive counterattack style. But what does cautious mentality actually mean in a match? Well, I want to highlight the third point: if they see an opening. It's telling your team don't go blindly forward anytime you think a counter may be on, but wait to see if you actually have an advantage. Here's an example of what I mean. This is a clip from the 17th minute of the first half without the cautious mentality. Arsenal have the ball in the attacking midfield and we get the turnover. When I pause here, pay attention to my winger at the top of the screen. He's on the attack duty, and see how he's already ahead of the ball? He's also going to make a sprint towards the byline because he wants to get on the counter. The problem is the counter wasn't actually on because we lost the ball, and by the time he gets back in position, Arsenal have already taken advantage. We give up the exact type of shot I wanted to avoid. But here's a clip from the second half with the cautious mentality on. Arsenal have the ball and work it to the flank in the attacking midfield. We get the turnover like before, but look at the winger now and how he's in line with the ball. He's sitting just a little deeper even though he's on that same attack duty. He's also not sprinting forward but stays in line with the ball. It's not until we get into the attacking half that he gets forward to follow the pass. And that's the difference. Your players are going to wait to see if the counter is on, rather than just assuming it is. We lose a little in our attacking presence because now our players aren't as aggressive, but we're playing more cautious in case we lose the ball. And that's the core philosophy of a defensive tactic, and when playing a team like Arsenal, I'll take that trade-off. As we continue with the second half highlights, there were a couple of back-to-back chances. In the 53rd minute, they got an incredible chance right in front of goal. But we respond just a couple of minutes later with our own chance. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that I'm daring the Arsenal backline to beat me because I don't want their attacking players to beat me, which almost happened in the first half as we saw. But here's what that strategy for the defensive backline looks like in the match. This is the 70th minute. Arsenal is passing it around their backline, which I'm totally fine with. We put on some pressure, but it's all superficial. Now their inverted wingback is going to get the pass and try to hit it over the top, but we win the ball back. This is what I meant earlier when I said you can't stop everything when playing a top team, and you want to choose what you're willing to give up. I'm daring them to beat me with that long ball over the top, and they haven't been able to do it so far. In the 72nd minute, you may be sensing a theme. Arsenal is passing with their backline and trying to work it through my midfield. We win the cross and our counter starts, but nothing really materializes, which is fine. The cautious mentality tells them to play safer if the counter isn't on, which is what they're doing. But when my center back gets the ball, remember that we have more direct passing on and a target for it as our striker. But we just can't convert today, and in the 88th minute we get one final chance. That was our last chance, and as Arsenal is killing off the match, they miss an absolute sitter. The match ends with Arsenal winning 1-0. Here are the match stats if you are curious. So how did the tactic do? In the first half, without all the instructions, Arsenal had 7 shots on target and 2 off target. But in the second half, they only had 3 total shots and they were all off target. Now admittedly, it probably should have been 2-0 after the shot right here at the end of the match. I think the XG was like higher than a penalty shot. For us, in the first half, we had 2 on target and 1 off target. And in the second half, we doubled our output with 4 on target and 2 off target. Overall, it was a bummer that we lost, but I thought we played well and achieved what we set out to do. Arsenal scored because of an error from our fullback, and if I'm being honest, I would actually rather have that happen than if we failed tactically or just couldn't keep up with them. And for us, we were plenty threatening going forward, we just couldn't convert. But we gave ourselves a chance to win or at least draw, and that's all you can ask for. In the first match we went over with Brighton, we got a little lucky and won. In this match, we got a little unlucky and lost, and that's pretty much the FM experience. But anyway, hopefully you are finding these videos helpful, even if they include plays that are like missed counterattacks and wayward shots and stuff. But that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.